Create WBP. Okay, create WBP start menu widget. Okay.
Off of this then 1 pin. Let's search for a play sound 2D. And here I'm going to slot in starter music cue. This one is located within your starter content, just a nice little song to play in the background. So with that, let's go ahead and compile and save. And now let's go ahead and play. Let's see if we see that start menu. And lo and behold, we still see our crosshair. We don't see a start menu at all. What could be the problem? Well, you may notice that we are creating this BP game mode start menu. That's the new game mode we just created. But we're not actually using this yet. We are in our start menu here, and we can actually override what the game mode is for this specific level. Remember, currently our project settings, let me just bring that back on. Maps and Modes tab. Currently our project settings determines that we are using this first person game mode blueprint. That's why when I click play there, I was seeing the first person HUD, that crosshair appear in the center of the screen. Now I don't want to do that. That's why I created a new game mode blueprint, start menu. Okay, so with my start menu selected here, we are in our start menu level. You can find your world settings over on the right hand side. And if you don't see this particular tab, you can click it on by coming under Window, World Settings. And if you look in your world settings, there is a game mode override that is currently set to none. Because it is set to none, we are using our default game mode determined in the project settings, our first person game mode. But here in your world settings, you can override what is going to be the game mode for this specific level. I'm going to change this on over to my BP game mode start menu, like so. And down below for my selected game mode, you can see my default pawn class is currently default pawn. My HUD class is currently set to HUD. My player controller is currently set to player controller. And this may be a little different than what you see in your project settings. For example, in your project settings, when you have the first person game mode slotted in, your default pawn class is the first person character. Here we are overriding it with our BP game mode start menu, and that is not the case. These all got slotted in by default. And you can see if we double click on your BP start menu, if I was to go on my class default, that is where all these settings.
Oh, okay, maybe that's what it was. Oh, never mind. I guess that's actually so. Okay.
Things come from. These are here by default. These are the exact same framework blueprints that you are seeing over here in your world settings when you slide in your BP game mode start menu. Okay, so now let's go ahead and try clicking play. And you will see that we now see our start menu, which is all well and good, but I click on level 1 and nothing is happening. Now the reason nothing is happening yet is because we have not yet hooked up any functionality, so I'll just hit escape to jump out of here. So now where do I need to go to actually hook up our button for level 1? When I click on that, how do I actually make it so I go into our level? Well, let's jump on over to our UI folder down here, and let's double click on our WBP start menu. And up until this point, we've only worked in the designer tab. Now let's work over in the graph tab to hook up some functionality for this screen. Jumping on over to the graph tab, we want to do something when we click on our level 01 button. Over in the left-hand side in the My Blueprint section, you can see you've got a level 01 button. And if you select that, down in the details panel, there are several events that you can add to your graph associated with that button. We want to do something when we click on that button. So let's add an event for on click right here. That'll add that event to your event graph. And this is going to be a real simple script. Simply drag out a wire and type in open level. There's a function to open a level, and it's going to say what level name. Well, if I jump back into our levels folder, our level name that we want to jump into is level_01. Make sure you put it in exactly like that. In fact, I recommend clicking on it, doing F2, Control C to copy that, then jump back to your WBP start menu, select right here, and then do Control V to paste that so you don't make any mistakes. Make sure you compile and save. And now if you jump in and play, you see your start menu here. And if you click on level 1, you will be transported to level number 1 where you can begin playing. And now you see we've got our crosshair back on the screen because we are in a different level.
I guess I didn't miss anything. You know what? I think it did work. It's just the lighting needs to be.
That is using a different game mode blueprint. Okay, so that is all well and good. So we have a separate game mode in our start menu than we do in level 01, which is pretty cool because in our start menu, our BP game mode start menu does not use the HUD class of first person HUD. We don't want to see that crosshair. We don't want to be controlling a character at all either. We only want to be interacting with that screen. Now, one more thing I want to point out here to you all, and this is also in the project settings, so hop back on over there. Here in your maps and modes section, you will see right below all your framework blueprints right here, an option called default maps, editor startup map. And it says, if set, this map will be loaded when the editor starts up. And currently I've got it set to level 01. Now, if you were to close out this project, this entire Unreal Engine, close it all out and then bring it back up, you would start on level 01. Well, let's change this on back to start menu, like so. And what this will do is, after we close out our Unreal Engine, the next time we open Unreal Engine back up, this will be the level that will be loaded up by default. So just know about that. With that, I'm just going to do Control, Shift, and S to save everything that I have just done. Guys, that is going to do it all for this one. We now have a functioning start menu. We'll see you guys in the next video. Welcome back, everyone. We now have a functioning start menu. Wouldn't it be nice if we actually had our HUD showing on screen while we were playing our game? Well, that's going to be the goal in this one. So come in your framework folder right here, and we are going to right-click, create a new blueprint class, and we are actually going to be creating a new game mode blueprint. You remember in the last video, we created a game mode blueprint specific for our start menu level, and only our start menu level, one that was devoid of stuff like our crosshair being present on the screen. We also did not have our first person character present in there because we don't want to control anything. We just wanted to see and interact with the start menu. Let's create a new game mode base for this. We will call this BP underscore game mode underscore gameplay, like so. And we can double click on this guy to open him up. And this is going to be the game mode that we want to associate with our level 01 when we are actually playing our game. Now, this is also going to be the blueprint, the game mode that we want to set for any level that we are playing. So if we create a level 02, 03, etc. So we can actually slot this in our project settings as well. But I want to demonstrate something for you now within our game mode gameplay blueprint first. With your class defaults button selected, over along the right-hand side where we can slot in various other framework blueprints, come under your default pawn class, and let's change this to be our first-person character. Now, you may see two options for first-person character. Choose this bottom one with kind of this person icon right there. Okay, then go ahead and compile and save this. And now, if I jump back to our level editor here and bring on our project settings, I'm going to come under the Maps and Modes option. And now we do not want this first person game mode anymore. We want to use our own game mode blueprint. So click on this little drop down, and there you can see our BP game mode gameplay option. If you don't see it, make sure you compiled and saved previously. So let's select this, and as soon as I select this, you can see that it already respects that I had first person character slotted in as my default pawn class. Okay? So let me just jump in and play quickly here. Again, I'm starting off on my start menu. So I click play. We don't see anything just yet, but I can interact with this button.
Nice.
Okay, so now I am actually in my level, right? But I don't see a crosshair. I do have the first person character, but I don't see a crosshair. Well, that's kind of problematic, right? So what we can do is either in our game mode gameplay, I can slot in the HUD class we want to use, or in my project settings. It honestly does not matter where you set this, either in your game mode itself or in the project settings. Just to be different, I will set this in my project settings. So my HUD class here, I will still use my first person HUD for the time being, okay? So now, if I click play, and I click level 01, we are now in, and you can see that my red crosshair is there as well. Now this is all well and good, but we still don't see our HUD on the screen, Mr. Wanderer, so what do we do? Well, come back into your BP Game Mode Gameplay Blueprint and jump to your Event Graph tab. We want to do some stuff off of Event Begin Play. Now Event Begin Play is going to be called as soon as level 01 kicks on, okay? That is going to be the beginning of our play. Off of this, we're going to drag off a wire, and I'm going to bring in a sequence node. And the reason I'm going to be bringing in a sequence node is because over the course of the next few videos, I am going to be scripting some more functionality off of this sequence node. But for now, I'm just going to be building off of this then 01 branch. Drag out a wire, type in create widget. The widget we want to create when we are within our game mode gameplay is our WBP HUD. And it's not enough just to create this. We need to take that created widget, drag it off of our return value here, and type in add to viewport. That is what's actually going to add it to our screen. I'm going to left click and drag around this, tap that C key to create a comment, and just type in show HUD, like so. You can see that bit of script right there. I will compile and save. Now let's jump in and play. So again, here we are on our start menu using our game mode start menu. And as soon as I click on this, we now see that we've got some HUD on the screen. Pretty sweet. Because we are using our game mode gameplay for anything that is not our start menu. I will exit out of here by hitting escape. Guys, that is going to do it all for this one. We will see you in the next video.
Okay. Shit. Okay, it works. Everything's fine. Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, we now have our HUD being present on the screen. However, we don't actually have anything on our HUD hooked up. In this video, we want to create the necessary variables and functions to bind our HUD widgets to relevant data such as score, health, and time. Now, note that by the end of this video, we won't have everything hooked up yet. Not everything's going to work, but we're going to be laying the groundwork to get our scoring system working as well as our timer working. So what we need to do is firstly jump into our BP game mode gameplay. Make sure you are within the right game mode blueprint. And what we're going to do is add a couple of variables in the My Blueprints panel. Click this plus variable button. First one we will create will be called game points. I will change this on over to an integer because I just want to have whole numbers for points, not decimal points at all. And then I'm going to create another variable, and this one will be called game time limit. And I also want this to be an integer. This is meant to represent the number of seconds in our game. Okay, with that, I'm going to compile, and I want to set a default value here for our game time limit. I don't want our game time limit to be 0 seconds. I don't know what the right number is for this. I'm just going to set this to be 120 seconds for the time being, 2 minutes. Through trial and error, we can actually figure out what is a good time limit, but I'm just going to set that as a placeholder value. Okay, so with that all well and done, make sure you have compiled and saved one more time, and we need to jump on over to our UI folder, WBP HUD. Open that guy up. Now we've got this score option right up over along the left. Make sure you've got your score value selected, that 9999999 value. Over in the details panel, if you come on over to the right, you can see where that value is punched in. There is a bind option. We want to click on this button right over here and create a new binding. Now that's going to jump us over to the graph tab, and it's going to prompt us to create a function. Okay, you can see here is our function name, our dummy default name, get score value text 0. I'm going to change this to be something a little bit more memorable than that. In fact, I will just click over on the function tab right here and hit F2, and I'm just going to shorten that to get score. And you can see how that name right there updates the name of our function tunnel entry node right there. Okay, the first thing I want to do is I want to right click in some empty space. And I'm going to do a search for a node called Get Game Mode. Okay. Next, I'm going to drag a wire out of this, and I'm going to do a cast to our Game Mode Gameplay. I'm going to hook it up like this. I'll explain what all this is doing after I have this all together. Next, I'm going to drag a wire out of our SBP Game Mode Gameplay and type in Get Game Points. We just created this variable in our Game Mode Gameplay. And next, I'm going to plug this integer, directly into this text input for the return node. That's going to bring in this little conversion where it's going to convert this integer value to a text value. And finish the hookup like so. All right, so what is this function doing? Well, we wanted to access our game points that are present within our BP game mode, this variable right here. Now, in order to fulfill the requirements of casting to, that is, talking to this game mode gameplay, we needed to plug in an object. And the object we plugged in was a game mode. This is basically, hey, which game mode do you want to talk to? Okay, so anytime you see you want to cast to a game mode, it is good to get a game mode right here to fulfill this object requirement. You can just right click and type in get game mode. So which game mode do you want to talk to? Well, we want to talk to our game mode gameplay. Within our game mode gameplay, we want to extract how many game points currently exist in there, and then we want to output that value. So that is essentially what this function is doing. Okay, so that is going to bind our score right there to our actual HUD. How about we bind our time as well? Actually, let's do our health next, shall we? Let's just go across the top. So I've got my health progress bar selected next, health progress bar. And over in the details panel, you're going to scroll on down until you find your progress percent. We want to bind this progress bar by something. So click on this bind button, create a binding. And right away, I'm going to change the name of this. This is jump me back on over to the graph tab where we can create the function. I'm going to hit F2 on this and just type in get health. Okay, so let's think. Where does our health values live? Our health variables? Well, they live on our first person character. So the way we can extract those health variables is firstly to right click. We want to get our player character. And we need this node right here in order to cast to first person character. This is a thing that must be plugged into our object here in order to fulfill this object input requirement. Okay, so then out of our as first person character, we can now extract any variables or functions, etc. within our first person character. So I'm going to grab out of this and type in get health. And the value that we want to get out of this is our health percentage. If I jump back on over to our first person BP blueprints, first person character, we've got our attributes right here, health percentage, and this is currently a value that will go from 0 to 1. And we're actually updating this value anytime we are adding or subtracting some health with our update health function. This is a function that is updating our health value, and whenever this function gets called by either getting damaged by a fan or picking up the health blueprint or the health pickup, etc., we are setting this health percentage variable. So this will always be between 0 and 1. So jumping back to our WBP HUD, I can just take this now and plug this directly into our return node. That is a float. This is a float, so no conversion node is needed. Just make sure that that is hooked in as well. And so that is the function for binding our health to that progress bar on our designer tab. Right there. Okay, we got one more to go here. We've got our time limit. So click on your time limit right here. That is time value. And over on the right-hand side, let's bind to this. Create a binding. That will jump us on over to the graph tab. And immediately I am going to rename this function, hitting F2 on it. Get time limit, like so. And here too, I want to right click. We want to get the game mode. Which game mode do we want to talk to? Well, let's cast to our game mode gameplay. And the reason we're going to cast to our game mode gameplay is because in our game mode gameplay, we created a variable called game time limit. We want to get our game time limit. Now this is an integer, so if we plug this into a text input, it's going to bring in a conversion node, like so. And then we finish up hooking this up by placing that execution.
Let's see, get game time limit. Okay, let's see. Spacebar.
Wire into the return node. Okay, so with that, let's compile and save. Let's jump in and play. Click level 1 here. And now you can see we've got a score of 0, a health that won't move just yet. We've got our 120 time limit. And again, those aren't going to work just yet. We've still got some more work to be done. But you can see my health actually decreasing as I get hit by a fan or the steam jet. What about if I pick up our health pickup? You can see it increased it. So our health is working, our score in time does not. But that functionality to finish out, rounding that out and making it all work is still to come. Anyways, that is going to do it all for this one, guys. We're getting somewhere. We'll see you in the next video.
Okay, let's take a look at this. Okay, we're gonna save this. Okay, save all. Okay, what happens? Oh, cool. All right. Well, that kills me. I'm gonna have to change that. I'm gonna have to change this later. I'm gonna have to go just to change. Okay. Okay. I think I am missing something because I don't have. But I think I might know what to do. Okay. Now I think maybe. I don't know. I think maybe. Where is it? Would have to be under the game mode. Nope. What the designer? Okay. Is there like a fill? No, I don't. Wait. I don't want black. Wait. What even is that? Wait, no. Okay. Oh, okay.
Welcome back, everyone. In this video, I want to get some game music going in our background. Right now, it's rather boring playing our game because we don't have any acoustical ambiance, so wouldn't it be nice if we had a nice musical track backing our gameplay? I think so. So that's the goal in this one, and to make this happen, I'm going to do this all within our BP game mode gameplay blueprint. So make sure you double click on this guy to open them up. And this is going to be pretty simple to do. Currently, in our event graph for our game mode gameplay, we are just showing the HUD. We're calling for our HUD to show. Now again, the game mode blueprint is good for the rules of your gameplay, including like what to show on the screen. In this case, we want to show the HUD. We could have done this through a specific HUD blueprint, but I chose not to. I'm also going to be utilizing this game mode blueprint to determine what musical track I want to play during my gameplay. And there are many ways I could actually go about doing this, but I'm going to go this route to make this happen. Over in the components panel of our game mode, we can click this add component, and I'm going to add an audio component. And I'm just going to call this music_game. And with that component selected, over in the details panel, we can slot in what musical track we would like to play. Now, I actually did import one off camera that I will actually play. I'm not going to actually give that one to you for free, though, because it's not free to use. You can use whatever musical track that you may have available to you. One I'm going to use is one that I like a lot called Mind Heist. But one that is available within the Soul City pack is called Soul Music Fly Up. I don't think it really fits the feel of this level too much, but it is there to use just to have any musical track. But anyways, I'm going to be using Mind Heist. I like this track a lot. Quite excellent. And then what I'm going to do is I want to actually quiet the sound a little bit. So under the volume multiplier, I'm going to change that to be 0.5. I don't want it to be too overwhelming. And that's going to do it for that. Next, I need to actually add the script to make this happen. This is going to be simple. I'm just going to drag out a reference to my audio component here. And then I'm just going to drag a wire off of it. Welcome back, everyone. In this video, I want to get some game music going in our background. Right now, it's rather boring playing our game because we don't have any acoustical ambiance. So wouldn't it be nice if we had a nice musical track backing our gameplay? I think so. So that's the goal in this one. And to make this happen, I'm going to do this all within our BP game mode gameplay blueprint. So make sure you double click on this guy to open them up. And this is going to be pretty simple to do. Currently, in our event graph for our game mode gameplay, we are just showing the HUD. We're calling for our HUD to show. Now again, the game mode blueprint is good for the rules of your gameplay, including like what to show on the screen. In this case, we want to show the HUD. We could have done this through a specific HUD blueprint, but I chose not to. I'm also going to be utilizing this game mode blueprint to determine what musical track I want to play during my gameplay. And there are many ways I could actually go about doing this, but I'm going to go this route to make this happen. Over in the components panel of our game mode, we can click this add component, and I'm going to add an audio component. And I'm just going to call this music_game. And with that component selected, over in the details panel, we can slot in what musical track we would like to play. Now, I actually did import one off camera that I could actually go about doing this, but I'm going to go this route to make this happen. Over in the components panel of our game mode, we can click this add component, and I'm going to add an audio component. And I'm just going to call this music_game. And with that component selected, over in the details panel, we can slot in what musical track we would like to play. Now, I actually did import one off camera that I will actually play. I'm not going to actually give that one to you for free, though, because it's not free to use. You can use whatever musical track that you may have available to you. The one I am going to use is one that I like a lot, called Mind Heist. But one that is available within the Soul City pack is called Soul Music Fly-Up. I don't think it really fits the feel of this level too much, but it is there to use just to have any musical track. But anyways, I'm going to be using Mind Heist. Like this track a lot. Quite excellent. And then what I'm going to do is I want to actually quiet the sound a little bit. So under the volume multiplier, I'm going to change that to be 0.5. I don't want it to be too overwhelming. And that's going to do it for that. Next, I need to actually add the script to make this happen. This is going to be simple. I'm just going to drag out a reference to my audio component here. And then I'm just going to drag a wire off of it and type in play. Then off of event begin play, I just want to say play the music. Now you do have the option here of specifying.
Okay. Okay. Leash. Okay.
The start time for this, but I actually want it to be 0.0. Let me just check one more setting here with my audio component. Auto activate. I actually don't want this to auto activate, so I'm just going to uncheck this because right here, actually, yeah, I do want to check that. So make sure that that is checked. Never mind. Let's compile this. Let's play this, or compile and save this, and then play this, and we've got our menu music, then level 1. Thinking. There we go. Hear that music in the background? Pretty sweet, I say. It's a nice track. So again, that's all we need to do to get some music playing in our background. Let me just left click, drag out a marquee selection, and I will type that C key to start game music. Let's compile and save one more time. Guys, that is going to do it for this one. So feel free to slot in some background music of your choosing. We will see you in the next video. Welcome back, everyone. In this video, our goal is to create a function to add points to our score and then call that function when a target is shot so that we can actually have some score incrementing on our HUD. Now, before we get to that, one thing I forgot to mention in the last video that I wanted to make sure I covered just in case any of you come across this. Now, this is a relatively short game and your musical track should cover the entire length of your game, but in case you need your music to loop, I'm going to show you where you can do that. Currently in my audio component, I have this set as a sound wave file. If I click right over here, this will access that file in my content browser. And if I double click on this, you can actually set your sounds to loop within a sound wave file. And where can wave file? If I click right over here, this will access that file in my content browser. And if I double click on this, you can actually set your sounds to loop within a sound wave file. And where can you do that? Right here, there is a checkbox to make it looping for a sound wave file. So just wanted to point that out if you are using a sound wave file for your musical track. All right, with that, let's get on to creating our scoring function. And we are going to do this within our BP game mode gameplay. So make sure you open that guy up. And what we are going to do is create a function, and the place to do this is over in the My Blueprints panel under Functions. There's this plus function button, so go ahead and click on that guy. And we are going to simply call this Add Points. This is going to be a real simple function to create. Select your entry tunnel node here. Over in the Details panel, for inputs for this function, we want to create one of these, and we're going to This is going to be a real simple function to create. Select your entry tunnel node here. Over in the Details panel, for inputs for this function, we want to create one of these, and we're going to call this input points to add. And we're going to make sure that this is an integer. And then what we are going to do is bring in our game points variable, like so. We want to get that. And we're simply going to add these two numbers together. So drag out of points to add, click the plus button. We want to do integer plus integer. Plug these both in like so that we add those together. And then what we want to do is set our game points. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key, left click, and drag in our game points to set it. Like so. So with that, I'm going to just compile and save here. If I was to jump over to the event graph in this game mode gameplay blueprint, if I was to then drag out our add points function, you can see what this function node is going to look like. It's going to take in some points to add, which is right there. Then it's going to add it by our blueprint. If I was to then, like so. So with that, I'm going to just compile and save here. If I was to jump over to the event graph in this game mode gameplay blueprint, if I was to then drag out our add points function, you can see what this function node is going to look like. It's going to take in some points to add, which is right there. Then it's going to add it by our existing game points, which starts off at 0, and then it's going to set it as our new total. So I don't really need this function node within our event graph of game mode gameplay, so I'm just going to delete it out there. I just wanted to show you what that function node is going to look like when it is used. Okay, so and with that now created, and again, make sure you've compiled and saved, we're going to jump into our BP target parent blueprint. Double click on this guy to open him up. And we're going to be looking for where we destroy our actor here. So you want to come under where we're destroying our projectile and target when hit. And towards the very end of this, you see this destroy actor, which is going to destroy whichever target we shoot with our projectile. Now we want to build off of this. And the reason we want to build off of this is because we want to call our points to add function. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to right click. We're going to get game mode. Which game mode do we want to get? Well, we've just been working in our game mode gameplay, so let's drag a wire off of this and type in game mode. And there's my cast to BP game mode gameplay. I'm just going to extend this execution wire right in like so. And now with our as BP game mode gameplay, I can drag off of this and access that function I just created. So drag off of this and type in add points. Now how many points do I add? Well, right here in our target parent, we have created a points variable that I will plug in like so. That's how many points we want to add. Now, remember, all of our other target blueprints inherit from this one. So in our parent, we default our points to be 100. However, if you look in, say, BP target 500, which inherits from our BP target parent, we also have a place within here under the class defaults where we can set how many points this is worth. So right now, my target 500 blueprint is worth 100. Why is it worth 100? Well, because it still is inheriting that default value from my target parent. Let me set this to be 500, like so. Okay, so now my BP target 500 should actually be worth 500 points. Compile and save. Okay, so now I'm just going to jump in and play. I know I've got some 500 point targets out there, so let's see if this actually works. Let me just make sure I've compiled and saved my target parent right here as well. Before I do, let me just actually left click, drag, tap that C key, add points to total stored in game mode gameplay blueprint. Compile and save that one more time. And then let's jump in and play. Damage being dealt. Music in the background, more damage being dealt. Now I know I've got some targets spawning down here. You can see I've been building out my level slowly between videos. Down here, I will have some targets spawning in. There's a 500 pointer. You can see in the upper left, it is obscured by a lot of debug text, but you can see that if I shoot the targets, my 100 point targets are worth 100, my 500 point targets are worth 500, and my score is currently 1,200, and it is obstructed by a whole lot of debug text. But you can see that that is actually functioning. I swear it's actually functioning. All right, guys, that is going to do it all for this one. We've got a functioning game score. Something you may want to do now is go through your target blueprints here, and with each of these selected, you can go into the class defaults and set how many points these are all going to be worth. So my 1,000 point one should actually be worth 1,000 points, etc. Anyways, that is going to do it all for this one, guys. We will see you in the next one. Welcome back, everyone. In this video, we will be creating a game instance blueprint. Now, this is a special blueprint type that can store information about our game over an entire session. It will not have its variables reset when transitioning to a new level. Now, we'll need this in order to set up our game timer properly. First, let's just focus on creating the necessary assets to make our timer work as intended. Remember, those game mode blueprints, the variables contained within a game mode blueprint revert back to their default values whenever you enter in a new level. With a game instance blueprint, that is not the case, okay? You will see why this is important for our timer as we go on. So without further ado, in our framework folder, let's create a game instance blueprint by right-clicking, blueprint class. You will not see it in the common classes, so you have to search for it in the all classes section down here. Just type in game instance. And we want to select this game instance, not platform game instance, just game instance, and select. And we'll name this BP underscore game instance, like so. Now, we are also going to create an enum variable within this framework folder as well. You'll see what this is used for in just a moment. An enum is short for an enumerated list. And what I'm going to use this for is to list out some possible level names. So I'm going to right-click, come under my blueprints option right here, and over in this file menu is an enumeration. So we can left-click on this guy, and I'm going to call this E underscore level selected. Now, I am only going to create one playable level in this project, but with this timer system set up, you should be able to extend this to set how much time you want to have available as your time limit for a level 1, a level 2, a level 3, etc. Okay, so with this asset created, I'm going to go ahead and double click on this, and it's going to look rather empty. Currently, we have nothing in our enumerated list, and what I want to do here is list out some level names. So I'm going to click this new button on the far right, and I'm going to type in for our display name, level underscore 01. Click new again. I'm going to list this as level underscore 02. And then once more, I'm only going to go up to level underscore 03. If you eventually build out this project to have 10 levels, you're going to want to add to this, but I'm just going to do 3 as...
Oh, okay. Okay, sure.
A quick example. I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to close this out. And then I'm going to jump into my BP game instance. Double click on this guy to open them up. And I'm going to create a new variable inside here. And this variable is going to simply be called level selected. Now for the variable type, I'm going to come over to the details panel under variable type, click this drop down, and I'm going to search for this. We're going to be searching for the enumeration we just created. So if I type level selected, we can see there is an enum level selected. That is the enumeration that we just created. So go ahead and click on this.
Okay.
You can compile, and you can see you can set a default level. We want this to be level 01, and you can set this to be any level that you select right here, but I want it to be 01. Again, we're just setting the groundwork for our timer system in this one. This is all going to come together in the coming videos. Okay, so with that, make sure again you have compiled and saved. One more thing I need to make sure that we do, we have created this game instance blueprint, but this has not currently been set in our project. Be level 01. And there is an enum level selected. That is the enumeration that we just created. So go ahead and click on this. You can compile, and you can see you can set a default level. We want this to be level 01, and you can set this to be any level that you select right here, but I want it to be 01. Again, we're just setting the groundwork for our timer system in this one. This is all going to come together in the coming videos. Okay, so with that, make sure again you have compiled and saved. One more thing I need to make sure that we do, we have created this game instance blueprint, but this has not currently been set in our project settings. So come back to your main level editor, come under settings, project settings. And in our maps and modes over on the left-hand side, down at the very bottom, for our game instance class, we need to swap out this default game instance with our newly created BP game instance. Now, note that there is no like save button here or anything like that. As soon as you slot that in, you are good to go.
Okay.
That is literally going to do it all for this one. We just needed to set the groundwork for our timer system by creating a game instance class. So mission accomplished, guys. We will see you in the next videos. Welcome back, everyone. In the last video, we set out to create a game instance blueprint for the purposes of setting up our game timer. In this one, our goal is to set up our level's time limit depending on which level was selected. Now note, we only have one level to select right now, but we'll show you how you could set this up for multiple levels. I'm going to start out working in our widget blueprints here. So I'm going to jump into my UI folder. And I'm going to access my WBP start menu, double click on that guy to open them up, and I'm going to jump on over to the graph tab. Now currently we have this script where once we click on the button that says level 1, we're going to open up level 1. Simple enough. Well, I'm going to do something a little bit more fancy here. I'm going to create some separation between these two nodes because I'm going to put in a little bit of script between here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, and I am going to type in get game instance. You have seen me do this before for getting a game mode, but I'm going to do a get game instance because I want to cast to my BP game instance. And why am I doing this? Well, the reason I am doing this is because I want to set some variable in my BP game instance. Remember, when we cast to something, we can talk to any variables, functions, etc. that live within that blueprint. Now, if you remember back from the last video, inside our BP game instance, we created this variable called level selected. And it's got a default value of level 01, but it could be set to 2 or 3. Jumping back to my WBP start menu, I now want to talk to that. So I'm going to drag a wire off of this and type in set level selected. I want to talk to that variable. Make sure you hook in your execution wire like this. And because we selected level 01, I want to make sure that in my game instance, I'm saying we have selected level 01. You can click this drop down to change that. And then I'm just going to keep the flow of execution here by hooking this into my open level 01. And let me just left click marquee selection, tap that C key, and type in level 1 selected, like so. Make sure we have compiled and saved this. Now I want to jump on over into my game mode gameplay blueprint. So coming back to your framework folder, jump into game mode gameplay, and I want to add 3 new variables. Come under the variable section, click this plus variable, and I'm going to make one called level _ 01 _ time limit. I will change this to be an integer, and with that I can simply select it, right click and duplicate it, and I'm going to call this level 02 time limit.
Sure.
Then right click on that, duplicate, level 03 time limit. And I'm going to compile here so I can set some default values. So I'm going to change my level 01 time limit, my first level time limit, to be 120. I'm going to change my level 02 time limit to be 150 seconds. I'm just coming up with some numbers at random here. Level 03, sure, let's make it be 180 seconds. Okay, with that, we've got this event begin play node where we are limit, then right click on that, duplicate, level 03 time limit, and I'm going to compile here so I can set some default values. So I'm going to change my level 01 time limit, my first level time limit to be 120. I'm going to change my level 02 time limit to be 150 seconds. I'm just coming up with some numbers at random here. Level 03, sure, let's make it be 180 seconds. Okay? With that, we've got this event begin play node where we are currently showing the HUD and starting the game music. Let's add some more functionality, shall we? So let's do this. Let's right click, type in get game instance. And you guessed it, we're going to drag a wire off of this and we are going to cast to our BP game instance. We want to talk to that in some way. Make sure we hook in this flow of execution like so. Okay, next I'm going to drag a wire out of our as BP game instance and simply type in get level selected. Whoops. And then what I'm going to do is drag a wire out of our level selected here, and I am going to bring in a node called a select node. It's this. Okay, next I'm going to drag a wire out of our as BP game instance and simply type in get level selected. Whoops. And then what I'm going to do is drag a wire out of our level selected here, and I am going to bring in a node called a select node. It's this guy right here. Now what's really cool about this node is depending on which option is selected right here in our game instance, whatever is set here is our level selected, we can change the return value. What do I mean by that? Firstly, I'm just going to plug in my level 01 time limit to here. That's 120 seconds. Level 02 time limit to here. Remember, that one's 150 seconds. And my level 03 time limit into here. Remember, that is 180 seconds. And then I'm going to bring in my time limit here, my game time limit. I'm going to click that, and I want to set that. And I'm going to plug this in like so. So let's understand what we are doing here. We want to say here in our game mode gameplay that upon beginning play, we want to cast to our BP game instance. And we want our game's time limit to be either 120 seconds, 150 seconds, or 180 seconds. Well, how do we determine that? Well, we're going to determine which one of these it is whenever we select a level here in our BP start menu. So currently, in my BP start menu, I am saying that when we click on the level 01 button, we're going to cast to our game instance, and we're going to set our level select variable to be level 01. So upon selecting level 01 here, that is going to inform our game mode blueprint that level 01 has been selected, so that is the time limit that we should set our game time limit to be. Let me just bring a marquee selection around this bit of script right here. Left click and drag. Tap that C key. Set game time limit based on level selected. Okay. I'm going to compile and save really quickly. And now I'm just going to jump in and play, and the time displayed should be accurate to what we have it set to. So right now it should be, because we click on this level 01 button, it should be set to level 01, which in our game mode gameplay is going to then select this 120 seconds as our time limit. So let me just jump in and play. Select level 01. You can see our time limit is currently 120. Now, we don't have it decrementing at all yet. That is still to come, but you can see that that is working. Okay, but we also had it set to 120 before. So is it really working? Well, let's test it out even further. Let me jump back to WBP Start Menu. And let's say that when I click on Level 01 button, I am actually going to set our level selected to Level 02. Okay, so what that's going to do, let me just compile and save this, is over in my game mode blueprint, upon beginning play here, we're going to be casting to our game instance blueprint, and it's going to say, hey, which level was selected? What is this variable currently set to? Well, it's currently set to be level 02 because that is what we selected here in our BP start menu. Level 02, we set this variable, this level selected variable, to be the level 02 option. So now here it should select the value set in this variable, which is 150 seconds. And that should be set as our time limit. So let me just jump in and play now and see if that is true. And now you can see in the upper right, 150 is set. So you can see how this system can be extended. Now, I'm going to jump back into my BP start menu and change this back to be level 01. But in the future, if you were to create a level 2 and a level 3, you could do a lot of copying and pasting of this bit of script right here, but swapping out the level selected set right here to be whatever level you've linked that button to. All right, Let's compile and save that one more time. Again, the time doesn't decrement just yet. We'll get to that, but that is going to do it all for this one, guys. This is kind of a handy trick to make it so your time limit is specific to whichever level you selected. We'll see you guys in the next video. Hello and welcome once again. In this video, our goal is to add a function and write some script to get our game timer decrementing, that is counting down. So one thing I wanted to point out from our last video that I missed is why did we keep our level selected variable in our game instance blueprint? Why not a game mode blueprint? The reason I put that variable level selected in a game instance blueprint is because our game instance blueprint lives across levels. By that I mean we are starting our game, our project here in a start menu level. And remember, in our start menu level, where we are bringing on our BP start menu widget, we are currently setting this level selected variable in the BP game instance to level 01. And then we are transitioning to a new level. By transitioning to this new level, this set variable in our game instance will still remain because it's the same game session. If this was a game mode blueprint, that variable would reset back to its default. So very important to understand that. Anyways, let's get on to a decrementing timer, shall we? This is going to be done within our BP game mode gameplay blueprint. So jump on over into that. You can see all the script we've got living in here so far. First thing I want to do is create a function. Click on that plus function button. This one is going to be called decrement timer. And this is going to be a relatively simple function. I'm just going to bring in my game time limit, like so. We're going to get that. Then I'm just going to drag a wire out of this, type in the minus key. This is going to be integer minus integer. I'm going to leave this hard-coded to 1, so we're going to take our game time limit, subtract it by 1, and then we are going to set our game time limit. So I'm going to hold down Alt, left-click, and drag, and we're going to hook this in like so. Decrement timer. And this is going to be a relatively simple function. I'm just going to bring in my game time limit, like so. We're going to get that. Then I'm just going to drag a wire out of this, type in the minus key. This is going to be integer minus integer. I'm going to leave this hard-coded to 1, so we're going to take our game time limit, subtract it by 1, and then we are going to set our game time limit. So I'm going to hold down Alt, left-click, and drag, and we're going to hook this in like so. Relatively simple, right?
What? Okay, yeah.
Right. Okay, so then jump on over to your event graph. And we are going to be building some more off of this event begin place sequence nodes like so. Relatively simple, right? Okay, so then jump on over to your event graph. And we are going to be building some more off of this event begin place sequence in like so.
Oh, it's watermelon, man.
So, relatively simple, right? Okay, so then jump on over to your event graph. And we are going to be building some more off of this event begin place sequence node. So let me just bring this on down a little bit. And I'm going to drag off of this then 3 output pin and type in set timer by function name. Now this is a really cool function that takes in a function. In our case, it's going to take in the function decrement timer. So I'm just going to hit F2 on this, copy that exact name, and plug it in right here off of this then 3 output pin. And we're going to be building some more off of this event begin place sequence node. So let me just bring this on down a little bit. And I'm going to drag off of this then 3 output pin and type in set timer by function name. Now this is a really cool function that takes in a function. In our case, it's going to take in the function decrement timer. So I'm just going to hit F2 on this, copy that exact name, and plug it in right here